want to say good morning, but it is actually 7:45 at night, and I am using our cookbook and making one of the Griffiths' favorite broccoli cheese soup. I know that is a really popular, common soup. Lots of people like it for a good reason. It's really delicious. So it is one of those soups that tastes better the next day. So I'm making it tonight, late at night. I've been on my feet all day, but we're gonna get this done. What I've got here is 3 huge russet potatoes chopped up into little chunks. I did that earlier today, so they're just sitting in some cold water waiting for me. You want about 10 cups of broccoli. I actually went to Aldi's and found broccoli at a really good price there. I don't like my broccoli soup like with shredded broccoli. I don't like it really fine and thin broccoli, but I also don't like big chunks. So I'm going in for sizes kind of like this. Just like little bite-sized pieces, but not too big, but not shredded up into nothing. The first thing I want to do is get some water boiling, and I make my homemade yogurt. I save the whey. I use this whey protein for steaming rice, steaming vegetables, and soups. And I just made an Instagram reel. I finally bought a water filter, so I can filter the water that I use in my recipes. That usually doesn't flip over. During the winter, if you keep potatoes on hand, celery, carrots, this soup doesn't call for carrots, but if you have those few ingredients on hand, you can make soups all winter long. You can make lots of different soups if you just have those few vegetables. That is my timer. I am also making sourdough bread, and it is time to stretch it. Get my hands in there. People who say sourdough bread is very time consuming, it is. It takes like a day or two to get to be able to eat your loaf, but you're already in the kitchen, you're already doing things. The amount of time that I stand over the bowl is very minimal. It's really not that much. So this recipe calls for a full bunch of celery. I feel like that's a lot. I know, Landon, you don't like love celery, am I right? He's shaking the camera, no. So I'm doing like half a bunch of celery, and I'm gonna cut off obviously those ends, but then on these ends, I'm going to keep the green stuff, the leaves, because it adds a little bit of flavor, but I am gonna cut off anything that's brown on the end, like those yucky ends right there. I'll cut those off. And then actually, because Landon doesn't love the feel of celery, I go through and cut them down this direction so that it gives them a smaller bite. You need an onion.
You weren't Yeti to make soup. You weren't Yeti. Your shirt says, I'm Yeti.
Oh no, I was not ready to film. I'm like, Landon, I'm wearing my sweats, mismatched sweats. But you know what? We're just gonna do it. We're gonna go for it. We had homemade pizza for dinner tonight, so that was a lot of fun. Some people say that onions don't make your eyes water if they are in the fridge versus in the cupboard. I can't remember. I have them in both places, and no, my eyes still water no matter where they are stored. I do like my cutting board. It sounds loud when I chop on it, but this is called an Epicurean cutting board. It's not plastic, it's not wood, but it's like, I don't remember what it is. It's safe on your knives, and it's not going to absorb like wood cutting boards would, and with the plastic cutting boards, when you chop, you're getting microplastics literally in all of your food. So don't ever buy a plastic cutting board. It took us years to finally get rid of ours. But an Epicurean cutting board, yeah. Once your water comes to a boil, you can add your potatoes. You could even do chicken broth right here if you wanted to. While the potatoes are cooking, I have just melted 1/4 of a cup of butter, and I am going to add my chopped celery and onion. The smell of melted butter sauteing vegetables is like the smell that defines winter and homey and cozy and just like comfort food. Now we're going to add our broccoli. Oh, I need a bigger pot, and I don't have a bigger pot. I'm just gonna turn this to medium, stir it in a little bit, and cook it for 5 more minutes. Once the onions kind of look translucent, I just turn the heat off of that. Over here, I turn the heat also off of this. If you used chicken broth earlier to boil the potatoes, that's fine. If you didn't, you can go ahead and add some chicken bouillon cubes. I think I have 4 in there. I turn the heat off and I'm just going to add the lid for another 5 minutes to just finish letting the vegetables soften up in there. Oh my gosh, okay. I feel like a kid right now trying to shred cheese. Do I regret not buying the bag of shredded cheese? Maybe. No. I stopped buying shredded cheese, like the pre-shredded cheese, because there is like these cakey additives to it. I'm like, I don't need more additives in my food, and it just doesn't melt very well. Like pre-shredded cheese, if you notice, does not melt as well as a brick of cheese. Where did Landon go? I'm adding my sauteed vegetables to my broccoli and potatoes. Carefully putting this up against the edge of the bowl so I don't smash my potatoes and broccoli. Just kind of mix it in there. Back to the same pot that I used the vegetables in, I am putting in a stick or half a cup of butter, and I'm going to melt that. Once the butter is melted, you're just going to whisk in flour. This is a half a cup. I like to let this kind of sit on the stove for about a minute to let that flour cook. I have 6 cups of milk here. I wouldn't do anything less than whole milk. I've got some whole milk, even a little bit of half and half you can put in there as well. Very slowly whisk this into my flour and butter mixture. And I think this is the part that I like rush, and then my soup is not thick enough. So you want to be sure to go really slow to keep this nice and thick. Am I measuring my 6 cups of cheese? No, I am just guessing here. This is where you can add in whatever salt and pepper you want to. It's almost 9:30 at night, so I'm not gonna eat a very big bowl, but just enough to give it a taste. There's nothing like a good broccoli and cheese soup, and this tastes fantastic. The flavors, it's just really good, and it will even thicken up more overnight as it sits in the fridge, and then when I go ahead and reheat it again, I will go ahead and leave the step-by-step instructions down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and go ahead and comment and tell me your favorite winter soup.